Towards the end of 2024, I started to feel something of an energy shift in the world, especially amongst young people. It all started with our favorite GigaChad CEO assassin. Now, just to be clear, I'm not condoning violence, nor do I condone what he did. But it resulted in a beautiful, harmonious rejection of the system from both the left and the right in a way I haven't seen in over 20 years. Since 9/11, really. For the first time since I can really remember, both the left and the right got together and in unison condemned the dog-shit American health insurance industry and their corrupt practices. I've long thought that the whole left versus right, Democrat versus Republican, liberal versus conservative dynamic was set up by design to keep us too busy fighting each other to see who the real problem was. And as much as I like Gen Z, as you can see from my channel, the insane political polarization of Gen Z was something I feared would hold us back from making any sort of real progress. How would we ever fight back and make real change when we're too busy fighting against each other? Well, as much as I don't condone violence, I can't deny that Mr. Luigi unified both the left and right against the system in a way I didn't think was even possible anymore. This can be seen best on Ben Shapiro's YouTube channel, where he tried to frame it as you guessed it, the quote-unquote woke liberals celebrating the death of a CEO. Unfortunately, he forgot the number one rule of YouTube, which is to never be out of touch with your audience. And he got absolutely destroyed by his own conservative audience for this. Right-winger here, you're wrong, Ben. This man denied 35% of claims. One was my dead parents' heart surgery we couldn't afford. He opted to die instead of giving us the debt. My dad, who was a staunch Republican, would have maybe agreed with you, Ben. But unfortunately, he died from cancer after being denied a treatment that could have saved his life because it was considered experimental. Hate to break it to you, buddy, but it's not just the left who is sick of this. Starting to realize your entire career is built off getting ordinary working folks to hate each other. I'm canceling my Daily Wire subscription. This last comment here was quite a big revelation. I've always thought that politics are kind of just a waste of time, because both sides are ultimately playing for the same team. Real change will happen not by electing liberal or conservative politicians. Real change will only happen when US Gen Z and millennials start running for office, starting our own businesses and our own politics. We have to be the ones in charge and running things. Once we realize this, that's when the beginning of real change can happen. And I think I'm starting to see the initial seeds of this being planted by this recent awakening we've had, that no, both the left and the right are actively screwing us over right now, and they're both profiting by getting us ordinary, working-class people to hate each other. There's still a long way to go, but this is the first step in realizing that the whole system is BS, and we just need to step in and create our own new one at some point. Speaking of doing away with old, outdated systems, the long overdue collapse of American colleges is further proof to me that Gen Z might just finally be winning. A record amount of American colleges shut down last year, and the number is projected to only get worse in 2025. As a millennial who grew up in the American education system before social media was around to expose how big of a scam it was, I watched so many of my peers get gaslit, manipulated, shamelessly lied to by our asshole boomer parents and the entire education system to essentially try and force us to go to college and take on these predatory student loan debts. I watched so many of my millennial peers helplessly fall into $30,000, $50,000, even $100,000 or more dollars of student loan debt, all while being promised it would be all worth it because a good-paying job would be waiting for them on a silver platter as soon as their degree was completed. Needless to say, we all saw how painfully detached from reality this all was. I was fortunate enough to see how big of a scam it was, so I avoided going to college, but it was still hard to watch all my friends permanently struggling in this horrific debt that they'll probably never pay off. After seeing this, I always long hoped one day people would catch on to how big of a scam they are, call them out, stop going to college, and collapse their scam of a business model. And well, it appears last year, Gen Z started to do exactly that. More and more Gen Z, especially Gen Z men, rejected the idea of college altogether, instead opting for alternative routes such as the trades, moving abroad, or simply just staying home and living with parents while they figure out what they want to do in life. And the result is that a record amount of colleges shut down and went out of business, which, as a millennial, I say good riddance. After watching the sheer amount of lives they ruined and people they indebted, they absolutely deserve their fate. And I feel like it's only a matter of time before Gen Z puts all these glorified professional scammers out of business for good. You see, there has been a bit of a silver lining to how badly Gen Z got screwed over, economically speaking. Studies show that Gen Z is quite a bit more frugal than millennials. They're being resourceful and totally embracing minimalism and rejecting consumerism. In the long run, this is the one thing that will get back at the greedy, corrupt boomer corporations that have screwed us over since forever. In their never-ending quest to cut costs by paying dog-shit wages to younger generations, they forgot one thing. At some point, you cut wages to the extent that no one wants to or can afford to buy anything from you anymore. This does take time, years, or even decades to fully manifest. But it is a sign that Gen Z is finally starting to win. The final and perhaps most important sign I'm seeing that Gen Z is starting to win is the general sentiment I see from you guys out there who watch and comment on my videos every day. After seeing Ben Shapiro's absolute disaster, I realized that being a smaller creator does come with several big advantages. The main one being that with a smaller audience, I'm actually able to interact with you all and be more in touch with your experiences on a daily basis. Recently, a lot of you have been pushing me to not just talk about problems, but also present potential solutions on how to escape this stupid rigged system we're all forced to live in. This has made me a better creator, as it's forced me to innovate and create more solutions-based guides. I made creative guides on how to move abroad, how to homestead, how to start your own YouTube channel. And I've seen a lot of you actually take serious action to implement these strategies and escape this BS rigged society yourself. I've seen more and more comments talking about how you guys are ready to move abroad, planning to buy land and just build your own homestead, and perhaps best of all, pursuing your own dreams and passions over being a wage slave for a corporation that we all know couldn't give two shits about you. I especially want to give a shout out to Chase Level 1, who, after being inspired by my content, took matters into his own hand and created his own YouTube channel talking about similar issues. His videos are getting better by the day, and when I watch them, it honestly feels like going back in a time machine and watching my own channel, back when we were just first getting started. So big shout out to him, and definitely go check out his channel. I think this year, 2025, is the year Gen Z takes full control of the narrative and begins to look for alternative ways to live outside of these toxic, outdated traditional paths that keep getting shoved down our throats and don't really work anymore anyways. Don't let anyone shame you and call you lazy either. I don't know if you've also noticed this, but all these stupid delusional boomers calling Gen Z lazy actually don't even work hard themselves. They all sit on comfortable couches behind comfortable desks while they call you lazy, and we totally expose them in this video right here. Check it out. I'll see you there.